Hi, Jonathan. I got your submission. Thank you very much. I'm going to give you this video critique so that hopefully it'll be easier for you to revise. So I see that you had, you mentioned about having issues with the document, maybe looking a little bit too bland, but I think you did some good things to really kind of make it look more aesthetically pleasing. There's just a few things that I wanted to go over that I did notice that we can revise so that we're doing it in a more efficient way. So I wanted to go over a couple of those things. Let me see here. Your parent pages. Okay, so you did your page numbers correctly. The only thing you need to change is the right side page because the number has to be on the other side. So go ahead and click on that right side page. Go ahead and copy that A, copy, paste, delete, and then just paste it right after this. And then copy this, the same space in between here. So you have the same space in between allowed here, it looks like. Looks like we need to, oops, let's pull this back. You have some space here. I think that's what it's doing. Okay. So what we want to do is bring up your paragraph panel. So object. Where are we at here? Typing tables. There we go. Paragraph. And make sure that this is on the right side. There we go. So right aligned on your paragraph panel. And then I don't know if you have a tab here. Let me see if you actually set your styles. Character style. You have a subhead, view, paragraph style, right page numbers. Okay, you do. Okay. So just go ahead and double click on that. And what we're going to do and this is kind of where you set your alignment settings, not kind of what I just showed you because I didn't realize that you had a paragraph style, which is great. So go to indents and spacing and you want to go to right align. Yeah, I don't know if you set a tab or not. Click OK. And then, oh, I see a spelling error. I'm gonna put one more M in there. I don't know if you have it on this side too. Yeah, one more M in communication. Make sure you're doing a spell check. So that's not happening. Okay. We want the same space in between here, which I think, yeah, you're going to have to do a tab. All right, so your right page number, go ahead and double click on this. We're going to have to set a tab in between your page number and your the wording of that. So what we're going to do is we are going to set a right align. We're going to set it way over here. And you can see kind of where my cursor is going there. Here we go. Okay, it looks like you do have one in there. I'm going to change that though. I'm going to pull it back to number 7 and then I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to hit delete and I'm going to do a tab and it looks like it's because what's going on here? Something's going on with your text box. Let me delete this space in here. I'm not sure why your text box looks like this. Let me do another text box. Let's go ahead and copy. I'm going to delete this text box altogether. Oh, there's one underneath. That's weird. I'm going to reset this. Excuse me for my cough there. I'm going to reset this just to make sure I'm doing this. There we go. Okay, now I just have to reset my tab. So I'm going to go back to tab. It's just a little bit too far in. There we go. Just pushing it. There we go. Perfect. Okay, click OK. So I basically just set that tab for my in between there. And that's kind of what you should do on here. I don't know if you have it on here. Let me see, double click, tabs. Should do a left tab. Let's go ahead and see if you have one in there. No, you don't. Okay. We're going to do a left tab at 1/2 inch. Click OK. And then it should set it at 1/2 inch. Perfect. Okay. Then I just want to make sure that these are on the same baselines. So I'm going to shift select and I'm going to go up to align. And I'm going to both put them on the same top line here. My baseline grid. I'm going to pull these down just a little bit so they're just a little further past that margin line. So I have the left and the right now properly set. So when I go back to my pages, I don't have a page number on the inside on my 3rd page. It should be on the outside. Okay. So that's the first thing that needs to be set. You did do it correctly on the left side page. You just need to fix it on the right side page. All right. And another thing that I see going on is you don't have this box, this text box linked to this text box. And that's what we want. We want this to link so that's easy to flow. So if you ever need to change, like say the size of this, you are not missing any text. Right now it's showing me this little red square, which says you have more text in here. It's just not showing. We don't want to see that little red square once we're done with this article. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete, and don't kind of freak out here. I'm going to delete these 2 boxes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make the text boxes again, just empty. So there's 1. And then there's 2. Okay, so I have 2 text boxes here. Actually, I could probably just make 1. I'll just make 1 that's all the way out here. And then what we can do is we can set our text frame options to 2. So we have 2 columns. And it sets to 2 columns. You can see 1 and 2. Okay. So then we go over to this first column. We want to click on that little red square that says, hey, we have more copy here, but it's not showing. And then we want to link it to this box by clicking right inside there. Now it looks like you might have deleted some copy out of there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the original article. Meeting with the client, tone, seeing where you ended here, convey. Okay, so we got to go back and copy what's left of this article, which starts with educate your client because it was deleted. I copied and paste this in here. There we go. Perfect. So that's what you'll see. And because this is all linked up, you'll be able to see how this flows into here now. Okay, so if you ever were to change this, watch what happens. If you make this smaller, watch what happens down here. Make this smaller, it flows into here. So you're never going to have missing text. Okay, so you need to link those first. Okay, so once you do that, let's zoom in on the first page. I would make this at least 2 columns because this is getting the line length is getting too long and it's hard to read. So go up to object text frame options. I would at least do 2 columns, if not more. And then what I would do is probably, it's getting too close to this black border. I would pull this in a little bit. So pull this in equal sides of margins. And I would pull this down a little bit. There we go. And then what I would suggest is taking this out completely and putting it in its own text box. Because this is a headline, we're going to copy and we're going to delete these spaces out here. And we're going to create a separate text box. So we're going to just do a whole new text box. We're going to paste that in there. And we're going to treat this a little differently. We're going to put it in here, but we're going to treat it a little differently. Okay? Because it's a headline. Now I'm going to move this down. Once I get this text a little bit down here. Okay. All right, and then I'll pull this down, and then I'm going to give this, excuse me, its own character style. So I'm going to copy this, or not copy, highlight, go to your character styles, do another character style. We're going to name this headline. Excuse me. So I'm going to leave everything the same. The only thing I'm going to do is just make sure when you're creating this, I didn't really do much. The only thing I need to do is go back to paragraph styles and hit basic paragraph, because we don't want that indent. We want to take that out. Now you could go back and say, okay, well, maybe I want this to be, let's see. Maybe I want this to be, let's see, give me 1 second here. Okay, say if you wanted to center this. As long as you're centering that, oh, you have to change that in the basic paragraph. Okay. So if you wanted to center this, what I would do is not create I would take this, I would not do a character style. I would do a paragraph style. So just do a paragraph style, do opposite of what I just said, headline. You have more options here, that's why. And then this way, when you go in, you can choose your center align, click OK, and it's centered. Okay. And then you could just go and double click in this. If you ever want to change, say like the size, say you want it bigger, you can make it bigger. You can change the color there, but you kind of have more of a freedom with this being outside of your text box. Okay, so that's the one thing I would do. And then another thing I noticed in your body copy is your indents are really, really big. You don't want to go more than 0.125. So we're going to go ahead and double click on your body copy. We're going to change your indents to 0.125. You can either do 0.125 or 0.185, but don't go beyond that because it's just too big of a space. All right, so then we want to make sure our subheads are not, you're not selecting body copy in your paragraph style. So we're going to do basic paragraph with your subhead selected. So that doesn't have an indent. So that's all you need to do there. Okay. Go into your second page and do the same thing here to any subheads because we had to repaste that. So we're going to go subhead, basic paragraph. Put a space after here. We're going to take the space out of here. Make sure it's consistent spacing. There we go. That looks good. I think that's good. Okay. Let's go back to the front page. Okay. Just make sure you're zooming in on your graphics here and everything's aligning. You have some stuff that isn't quite aligning. So I would definitely, make sure you pull that in, make sure everything's aligning perfectly. If you wanted this black space, you don't necessarily have to do, let's see. Oh yeah, you would have to do if you wanted this border. I was gonna say you could do like a fill. Just make sure you're zooming in and all of your borders meet, so you're not having some weird spaces here. Some of this was a little off. This goes over here. Perfect. Okay. And then I would pull this out so it's bleeding behind there. I don't think that's needed. I think you can just pull this, delete that, go ahead and pull this box so it's reaching on both sides. Go up to object, fitting, fill frame proportionately, and that just looks a little cleaner. And then pull this in so it's meeting that margin. So let's hide guide so you can see what I'm doing here. And overprint preview. So it's clean, you can see it. I'm going to pull this up just a little bit because we want that to have enough space at the bottom. That looks pretty good. Okay. I don't think you need this dark part back here. I would just take this out completely. Let's go up to, let's like simplify this a little bit. swatches, and I would say none, and I would say none for the outside border. I think just having this is pretty simple and nice. Pull this out so that's touching both of your make sure you have black for the edges and not pink. It looks like you have like a pink color, so make sure it's black for all your edges, your strokes. Stroke boxes here, so just have black on the stroke. There we go. Just make sure you're centering this. I would go to your paragraph panel again. Where did that go? I'm missing that. Paragraph, there we go. And go ahead and center that. You can make this bigger if you want to. You can create a character style for this, or a paragraph style. Let's do, oops, cancel. Let's do newsletter masthead. We'll name it masthead. And we'll just make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So then you can easily change that. And then I would center it in the middle of this. Okay. Now don't forget, we need to add in a table of contents in here. So that kind of might mess this up a little bit. So maybe just pulling this in so that it's meeting halfway and then filling it. This would be kind of like your table of contents area. So you could do something like that. I would bring this, let's see, pull this down a little bit. There we go. I'm just making sure that this doesn't have a weird white gap there. Okay, perfect. All right, so that's what that looks like. There's a line here, it looks like. What's this line here? Oh, we want to take that stroke off. Any strokes that you see, like this blue stroke, just hit the none. You don't really need a stroke around that. Just pay attention to that. That was around your pink ball there. All right, so now we're going to go to the second page, and let's see here. I like this pink area. I'm almost wondering if this would be easier to read if this was on this side. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to one column again. And I'm just going to pull this middle box over just into the white area. Pull this down a little bit so that it just goes in the white area. It might be easier to read that way. I would probably suggest you doing the same. It's okay to have this pink area here. Pull this to the margin. It's just a little hard to read with the copy on top. Maybe if it was like highlighted text, you know, like a quote from there, it might be kind of nice. And then what you can do is you can use your images in here to fill up this space. Okay. So I don't even think you need this vertical line. You can probably take that out, take the stroke off of this pink item here. I don't think that's needed. And keep it simple. Same thing here, no stroke on the on this box. And let's see, this goes over. I'm going to tuck this one behind it. So arrange, send it back. That's how you would put this behind this. And then I would start maybe this image here. You could also put another image in here if you want. Did you use another image up here? Yeah, you did. So you have 1, 2, so you have 3. We could do like this image. And you can keep it this size, or you can pull this down a little bit so it's a little longer. That's okay. Just make sure it's the same width. All right, and then what I think I'm going to do is I still have some copy here that's not showing. I'm going to pull this up just slightly so it's not so high up. And then I'm going to bring my copy up. And when I bring my copy up, I'm going to bring my image up just to align nicely with that. Still have copy down here. How much copy do I have left? Let's see. No, actually a lot. Okay, let's see what size your copy is. 10.14, perfect. So you don't really have to change that. What you might want to do is maybe pull this up just a little bit, leave a little bit more room up here for more copy. some copy up here. Make sure you don't have any weird breaks. Like maybe right here would be good. And then you would just center this information. Okay, and then that would allow you more room over here. See how that reflows? Okay, let's pull this up just a little bit more. A little bit more. Looks like we need more room. Let's move this to the left a little bit so it's a little wider. And let's move this to the right a little bit. There we go. We're getting there. I think that's the end of the column, the end of the paragraph. Right there. It looks like we might have a space after the clients. Let's get rid of that space. There we go. Perfect. The goal is not to see that little red square down here. We know we don't have a lot of text. And then if you want, you can resize these down if you want to make these fit inside. Again, up to you. Pull this out just a little bit. We want some space, but you know, this is adequate right here. Pull this back over, and there you go. The only bad thing up here is this last line. We want to kind of fix that. So let's pull it up one more, and we're going to just pull this down a little bit. We want this. Actually, let's see what we got going on up here. We want that one line to bump here, but we don't have it. So we do have a widow in here we need to fix. Maybe what I would suggest, double click on your body copy and do a -5 tracking. That kind of yeah, there we go. That fixed that line. So that pulled this last line up, which used to be here, and it fixed it. So it's not a weird line. And then I would just bump the down. There we go. That's perfect. So now we have this ready to go. Let me pull this into the margin, pull this up, clean up my boxes here. You can align to, like, say, if you want to align this to your header, the actual pictures, you could do that and just kind of leave these together like that. If you don't want to align it to the top, because I think that's getting too high up there. It kind of looks a little bit more balanced here, and especially on this side. Okay, and then just go ahead and look, you know, at your rags, see if there's any weird breaks. I did notice one widow up here still that we need to fix, which is in your first paragraph or your second paragraph, but that's an easy fix. We can do that very easily. There, I just fixed it. It brought down that information. It was just information. That looks good. Yeah, it looks good. So just do those changes, and let's see, print preview. Let's take a look at this all together. Hi, guys. Put your table of contents in here when you're ready. So just linking your text box is the most important part. Getting your style sheets, everything, your subheads so that they don't have indents. Adjusting your indents so they're not so big. And then placing your type where it's easier to read. And then accentuating that with your aesthetics. The design elements should not be getting in the way of the information. They should be supporting the information. Go throughout, take off any strokes on weird, like these elements, take the strokes off to none. So it looks cleaner and just, you know, lighter all in general. And then you can go in and do some funky stuff with like your pictures, not funky, but neat stuff. You can do like, you know, if you wanted to put a drop shadow on this, you could go to object effects, drop shadow, and you could put a very small light drop shadow on these. I wouldn't do like crazy drop shadows, just something real light. You know, something like that where you're pulling it in a little bit and it's not as dark, but you know, lighter. So it kind of pops off the page. All right, and then I did a video, oh, I'm going to pull this to the right too, sorry. For this second article, just make sure when you start the second article on page 3 and 4, that you're linking those text boxes from 3 to 4. You don't have to link it from 2 because it's the end of the copy for the first article. But I did create a lecture for the second part. Go ahead and listen to that and then apply your other article. All right, I hope this helps.